that we started focusing on introductions, right? How to get introduced, get connected. And look, here's the connection between that and relevance. How do you get the attention of someone who doesn't know you? How do you have a relevant message that they will actually pay attention to? Well, you get introduced by someone they already trust, someone they do know. And if you use the referral and the introduction process properly, you will know what to say to this prospect to open it up and to be relevant. And so the borrowed trust of introductions will go so far, but then you better have good messaging. You better have good ways to talk about your value that will keep the conversation going and eventually win the business if it's a good match. So this is really a continuation of the entire client acquisition process that I've been dedicated to for 25 years.
Welcome to the RockstarsRocking podcast, powered by Voluntary Disruption, a show dedicated to people who are crushing their business and life goals. These are bite-sized conversations with leading rock stars in their respective industry who are pumped to share their story to help drive you to the next level. So, are you ready to rock? Speaking of rock stars, here's your host, Eric Silverman.
Hey, social friends, welcome back to another edition of RockstarsRocking. If you're not sure what I just did, that is hashtag RockstarsRocking. And today I'm excited to have one of my good friends, a rock star who is absolutely rocking, crushing. This guy, if you're not familiar, and who am I kidding? Everybody's probably familiar. This guy is Bill Cates. That's not exactly Bill Gates with a G. That's Bill Cates with a C. Welcome, Bill. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Look, Bill Gates may have a lot of money. How about if I help you make a lot of money? Is that?
Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to focus on and talk about today for our audience. So for those that don't know, just a quick resume from my perspective. Bill Cates is a best-selling author of 6 books, including his most recent book, Radical Relevance, which is absolutely incredible. And I would literally hold it for you because he signed it for me, but I don't have it with me because it's packed away because I just moved my office and I couldn't find it. But I read it and it was awesome. And I can see it right behind, there he is. I can see it behind him. He's probably going to grab a copy and hold it up. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. So let me just tell everybody real quick. So Bill, I met Bill in January of 2016 at a huge industry conference where I was just amazed with what he talked about. I was captivated from the first words that he spoke. I sat right front and center. I was very participatory in the audience, and I know so because he said anybody that would get a free copy of his book. I'd never heard of the guy. He gave me a copy in the middle of his presentation. I took it home. I read it. We hit off right away. He is, by the way, a huge Orioles fan. No, just kidding. He used to be a semi-Orioles fan before the Nationals. But by all means, congrats on the Washington Nationals World Series last year, Mr. Cates. Bill, can you start us off maybe talking about radical relevance and what that means to folks who are going to grab that copy?
Yeah, sure, Eric. Thank you. I think the subtitle really says it all. Sharpen your marketing message, cut through the noise, win more ideal clients. So we know we live in a very noisy world. It's hard to get our message out. It's been estimated that the average person gets 3,000 marketing messages a day, and that's just marketing messages.
Oh my gosh.
Just coming at us all the time, right? And the brain shuts down the most of them. So if we're not radically relevant, if we're not hitting the bullseye in their brain, they're just going to ignore it. So that's how we cut through the noise. And then win more ideal clients. In the book, I call it right fit clients that we were really meant to serve, who were meant to be served by us. So it's not just about attracting quantity, but it's attracting quality. And I don't care how successful you are and whatever your business is, you're always willing to take on another right fit client.
Yeah. So when it comes to that book, I mean, I see in the right hand corner from where I'm looking at you, your right shoulder, you have another one of your best-selling books, Don't Keep Me a Secret and Beyond Referrals, 2 of my all-time favorites. I'm pretty sure it was Don't Keep Me a Secret that you gave to me that day that we met. But how does Radical Relevance either differ and or complement those other books?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I've been in this teaching referrals and helping businesses get more referral business for 25 years. And so when I first got hired to speak, train, coach, it was mostly around how to ask, how to do it that wasn't pushing, wasn't begging. And I realized that some people had challenges with it just because they weren't referable yet. They were too transactional. They weren't building the good relationships they needed to. So then we started getting into client engagement and how to create that great relationship throughout the entire lifetime of the relationship. And then, with the do not call regulations for B2C, and then all just the other ways, it's just so hard to get through to people, the gatekeeper, all of that. That we started focusing on introductions, right? How to get introduced, get connected. And look, here's the connection between that and relevance. How do you get the attention of someone who doesn't know you? How do you have a relevant message that they will actually pay attention to? Well, you get introduced by someone they already trust, someone they do know. And if you use the referral and the introduction process properly, you will know what to say to this prospect to open it up and to be relevant. And so the borrowed trust of introductions will go so far, but then you better have good messaging. You better have good ways to talk about your value that will keep the conversation going and eventually win the business if it's a good match. So this is really a continuation of the entire client acquisition process that I've been dedicated to for 25 years.
So I like how you talk about borrowed trust, and anybody that's ever been fortunate enough to get a referral because they asked, they spoke up. That really is the key that I found: borrowed trust. That's enough to get the door open, to crack it from cold to warm, as I would say. But you have to take the ball and run with it after that. So I like the way you phrase that. And you and I have talked about it often. The difference between a referral and an introduction, to me, is a lot of people think they're the same thing. I don't think they're the same thing at all, really. A referral is somebody, in my opinion, who knows you and likes you and trusts you and has maybe even used your services, so they can genuinely, with passion, say, this guy's great, this lady's fantastic, and here's why. An introduction is more simple. And I always have taught my sales teams. I've trained and hired hundreds of people over the course of my career. I've always trained to look for introductions more than referrals because it's softer. And again, an introduction is simply going to crack that door from cold to warm. I always put it like, if you're going to a cocktail party or a social event, I'm not going to walk over and say, hey, Jill, meet Bob. I want to refer you to him. No. I'm going to say, I want to introduce you to Bill. It's very, very soft, and I find that it works really well in business. Bill, let me ask you, when it comes to coaching and speaking, a lot of people may not know, I hope I have this right, Bill's a member of the International Speakers Hall of Fame, I believe. Is that accurate?
It's a National Speakers Hall of Fame. Yeah, there's about 190 members, living members, I think, 185 living members, 3 to 5 get inducted each year. And so, yeah, I do a pretty good job on the platform, I guess. At least some people think I do.
And guys, if you're not sure, I mean, look him up. You can go to his website. We'll tell you that at the end, and it's going to be in the comments. But ultimately, Bill's spoken all over the world, not just nationally. He's spoken all over the world, been hired and paid a healthy penny to do so, and it's very deserving. I mean, the stuff he puts out is incredible, and I can't stress enough how good it is. So if you're watching this and you have the ear to somebody that's in charge of making decisions or helps to further the decision-making process for somebody that's going to be booking conferences in the future, late 2020, 2021, 2022, please do yourself a favor, check it out. Bill's very, very talented. They don't just induct everybody to the Speakers Hall of Fame. I like to publicly speak. I'm not in there. It probably be a long time before that happens. But Bill, can you also talk about your coaching? Because I have a lot of friends of mine and colleagues that have used you for your individual personal coaching.
Yeah, there's kind of two main areas I focus on, as I've mentioned already. One is the referral part of the package. So for instance, I had a gentleman on the phone earlier today interested in the coaching. And the first thing we talked about was referrals, and what he wanted to do was get the rest of his staff up to speed on how to generate more referrals, how to get unsolicited referrals, how to ask, how to get connected. But then we started talking a little bit and realized that his entire team was not on the same page in terms of how they talked about their value and believed in the value. So that's a big part of what I do these days. Is sometimes I'll help business owners or salespeople or whatever figure out what their target market is, what their niche is, not trying to be all things to a lot of people. That's one way we stand out in the marketplace these days. Is focusing on a specific type of market. So we do that sort of work, and we do a lot of messaging work of how to talk about what you do. And most businesses, most owners, most individuals in business, that's something you need to look at every few years, right? You need to re-examine how you talk about your value. And then the final work we're going to do with this particular gentleman, when we're going to start with this, because it really is the most fundamental, is talking about the culture of values and mission and vision. And this is not that same old mission and vision stuff that so many people, that you do the work and then it just sits in a drawer and nobody ever sees it again. These are living values and living mission and living vision, and it drives all the activity of the business. And we make sure that that gets communicated in certain ways in our value proposition, right? Our value proposition, why we do what we do, should be almost synonymous with what our mission, and that should resonate with prospects. And they go, oh, that's really good, right? Tell me more about that. And so it's really integrated type of work. So hopefully this business will all be on the same page with the value, and they'll have processes in place to generate more referrals, more introductions, and they're going to have a great year because of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I like the way you say that. And, when it comes to what, and you might have more, but I look at it as you have three ways that you can add value to somebody who wants to check you out. I mean, you have a very robust website, so we'll talk about that in a second, but you have your book series, 6 best-selling books. My favorite right now, obviously, is Radical Relevance. You can also, you have coaching sessions, and you have public speaking, and they all work together. It's a similar message. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, number one, how can they do so? But number two, do you have the ability, I know you're extremely busy, but do you have the ability to chat with somebody for maybe 10, 15 minutes ahead of time if they want to see if there's something that would be a good fit for them?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. In fact, I'd be happy to offer anybody who's a friend of yours watching this a complimentary strategy session. It's a 30-minute session. I'll send you a little something ahead of time so you can kind of warm up to what we're going to talk about. And I think you'll find it very helpful. So my email is bill@referralcoach.com, bill@referralcoach.com, and just say you're interested in a strategy session, and we'll chat a little in email. I'll get to learn a little more about what you do, and then we'll get it set up.
Okay. Bill@referralcoach.com.
Right. Yep.
Bill@referralcoach.com. And your website, I believe, is referralcoach.com.
Referralcoach.com. And then 2 more if you want. I've got a report, a guide for everybody. It's free. Just go to exponentialgrowthguide.com, exponentialgrowthguide.com. And it's a good synergy of the work I do around referrals and introductions and value messaging. Serving people well will create incremental growth, but having certain ways of being proactive and leveraging that great service will create exponential growth. And then if you want to learn more about the book, just go to radicalrelevancebook.com, radicalrelevancebook.com. Thanks.
Awesome. And they're all also available, I know, from your website and I believe on Amazon, correct?
Oh, yeah. Everything's on Amazon.
Okay, great. So guys, Bill, I appreciate your time. Anybody watching, I very much thank you for watching and tuning in. You've said it all, my friend. I can't think of anything else to talk about today.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Other than the Orioles, unless you want to just talk about how great my team
talk about the Nats defending their World Series championship. Probably starting in July, and they'll have like a 60-game season if they're lucky.
My Orioles are currently undefeated in all the games that count, and I'll leave it at that. So with that, Bill, I appreciate it. This has been another episode of #RockstarsRocking. I appreciate everybody tuning in. As I always say, don't just have a great day, make it a great day, because I know we will. Thanks, Bill.
You bet.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Rockstars Rocking podcast. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. And if you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. 5 stars would totally rock. Until next time, rock stars, keep rocking.